give a recap of my trip to Kenya. Before I start, though, shout out to Good Foods right here on 73rd off Jeffrey, black-owned restaurant. I'm gonna show y'all around a little later. As far as Kenya, I gotta say, outside of prison, the country was dope, man. I had a good time once I got my freedom. It was great people out there. I love the food. The weather was beautiful. Like the view of the skyline from the top of KICC. The nightlife was dope. The little clubs I checked out, the malls, and then I really like Diani out there in Mombasa. Like this super chill island vibe. So I got a lot of love and appreciation for Kenya. But again, I can't ignore the side that I didn't like, which is the system in Kenya. Like, the system is trash, man. From my experience, like the police, the court, the judges, and they whole jail and prison system is garbage. And it's clear from the protests that happened right after I left that it ain't just me. It's not like I'm only speaking on my experience. The youth, large population of Kenyans agree with what I'm saying. That's why they've been protesting. Issues with President Ruto and the finance bill. So I want to say a quick shout out to all the protesters out there, you know, making sacrifices to change your country, your government, and your future. For the record, I don't condone the bad people on either side. So that goes for any protesters who out there looting, destroying Kenyan businesses. I don't rock with none of that. But on the other side too, like I'm not condoning any police officers out there killing innocent protesters, out there taking advantage of their uniform and their authority. Both of them are foul at the end of the day. But all real change comes with sacrifice. So again, shout out to all the protesters out there fighting for what's right, man. Just trying to make their country better. Now, I heard they agreed to stop protesting a couple weeks ago, but at the same time, one of my buddies out there just sent me a video showing what they saw on the street. So it's not completely over yet. But I heard they came to some peaceful agreement to chill and let business be run again. So hopefully it's gonna end soon. But again, shout out to y'all in the struggle. And meanwhile, one of my friend's moms is out there right now on vacation, doing the safaris and all of that. So it's not like the whole country going through it, but you still could go there and travel and have fun. Just be careful where you go, because I know the CBD is the main places where the protests is still happening. Now, my biggest issue with Kenya, as much love as I got for it, as much as I like my trip, is that it was the most corrupt country I've ever been to in my life. Kenya is by far the worst when it comes to corruption and bribes and all of that. From the police officers to the prison guards asking for money, everybody wanted a bribe, including security. When I went to the bank one time, there was officers outside the court asking for bread. Even at the airport, a guy and a lady stopped me, asked for my passports on my way back to Chicago. And they listened to my story, we laughed about it, and then they're like, oh, so you think you got a little lunch money for us? So I'm like, damn, this is ridiculous. Like at every level, anybody that got a uniform on or any sense of authority, they feel like they can ask you for money, and it's a regular thing out there. Not to mention, like, as much as I went through it as a visitor, from every level on the street and into the prison, even one of my buddies out there, they trying to buy some property. Well, actually, they bought their property already, and they had the same issue, having to go through the middleman, scamming them out of extra bread. Even when they was doing it officially through the government, people in the government telling them, like, you know, you pay a little extra, it'll be pushed ahead. Your stuff will be at the top of the pile, it'll get done fast. Or you could wait and do the regular process, and then, you know, it's gonna take you maybe 6 months to a year, what should take maybe a few weeks at the most. So for that to just be a regular part of life, not only you just living peacefully on the street like I was, and then to get stopped by the police, and then they expect some money, for you to be a law-abiding citizen that's from Kenya, you going about the legal way to buy property, and you still gotta pay bribes and all. Like, that's ridiculous. That's unacceptable, man. So I can't rock with that side of it. I hope they put a stop to that. Even when it comes to the drone laws out there, and the laws on filming in general is terrible. One of the soldiers stopped me one day when I was filming off the bridge. He tried to go through my phone and delete, you know, any videos that I took, but I was taking it on the other camera, so he ain't find it low key. But just it's not comfortable, man, for them to be so advanced when it comes to internet access, Wi-Fi, when it comes to M-Pesa. It's a lot of things as far as their legal system where they still, like, I don't want to say behind, but it is outdated because they still operating off the colonial system and stuff that the Europeans set up when they was there.
In this process, I came to realize that we have some provisions in our law that are very retrogressive.
True.
And they are very punitive.
I can't get with that, man. Outside of just what I went through out there as a visitor, just how I saw the government treat their own people, a lot of them just being locked up because they poor at the end of the day. And they had that written on a lot of the walls in the jails and the prisons are like, it's a crime to be poor in Kenya, and that's a fact, man. If you don't have money to pay the police on the street, they'll lock you up for no reason like me. Then if you don't have even more money to pay them at the police station, you end up going to prison, going to court, and that's a whole nother issue where bottom line is like, for me to be innocent and for the judge to eventually say not guilty, so I definitely was proved innocent, there's no reason I should have spent 10 days locked up. Never should have went to prison in the first place. So that's the stuff that needs to be corrected. It never should have went that far. And then, like I say, to not be able to pay the police on the street, then not be rich enough to pay them at the station, your next step is bond or bail. And you definitely ain't gonna have money for that if you ain't have money on the street. They basically incriminating all of their poor people, and it's a lot of poor people there, just like in America. So because of jail and court and all of that nonsense, I did miss a couple things that I really wanted to see and touch on out there. The main thing being the Mau Mau Museum. Real quick history on the Mau Mau from 1952 to 1960. The Kenya Land and Freedom Army, aka the Mau Mau, fought against the British colonizers. The Mau Mau included a bunch of different tribes. There was some of the Kikuyu, the Marus, the Embu, Kamba, and the Maasai warriors. And the crazy part is sometimes they had to fight coons from their own tribes and their own country. Like, same issue we deal with some, coon and black folks here. But it would literally be like the Mau Mau, who a lot of them was Kikuyu against Kikuyu that was pro-British. I still see a lot of that mentality to this day of certain Kenyans who side with the government, side with the president. They would rather things stay the same, even though they the same ones complaining about certain things in the country. That's the part I don't understand. Is like, this same person who told me they support the president and they want the protests to stop also told me how much they want to marry somebody outside of Kenya. Because they don't want their kids to suffer the same way. They're not allowed to travel as freely and all of the whatever restrictions they have being a Kenyan. But then you turn around and support the president and the status quo, what's already happening. So how can you say that you won't change and you tired of how things are, but then when you got the opportunity to get some change, now you like, nah, that's too much of a struggle, that's too difficult. At the end of the day, you just complaining, man. If you talk about how much you want things to change, but you're not willing to sacrifice or do anything to make the change, then nothing is ever gonna happen. Much respect to the Mau Mau warriors using the guerrilla style military tactics. They had to live in like the wilderness for most of the time until Kenya got their independence. And they famous for growing their locks, man, growing dreadlocks, basically until the struggle is won. And a lot of them, even after Kenya got their independence, or so-called independence in 1963, a lot of them kept their locks. They ain't even cut them off. So again, much respect, much love to the Mau Mau and to the protesters today still fighting for Kenya. Quick shout out to Victor, Sam's guy. I'm mad I ain't get the link with you, bro, but again, because of all of the issues, I ain't had a time. Another shout out to John that I met in South Africa. He out in Kenya too. We were supposed to link. He stay out in the village, so I could have showed y'all a little, outside the city. But again, because of the timing and going to court and all of that, I wasn't able to do it. But next time for sure. The other issue, what slowed me down outside of jail and court, was like I had a string of bad luck after I got out of prison. I had a lot of first time experiences that never happened to me. And it was like back to back to back every day. First time going to prison was out there. That was my first time experiencing bed bugs in the prison. First time getting stung by a sea urchin, swimming in Diani. I left my shoes on Diani Beach. I ain't never just walked off on my shoes in my life, man. Like, it never happened to me before. My room key I lost. I lost the room key when I got my second hotel after I got out. Now that's crazy because not only I ain't never lost one before, but I had another room key from my first hotel that I had with me the whole 10 days, through jail, through prison. I kept it and still had it once I got out. Once I explained to the hotel what happened to me, they like, you got the key? I had it on my belt loop still. So it's like, for me to keep that all through jail and prison and then lose the second one on the street randomly, that's just, to me, it's kind of crazy. Then it's the first time my drone stopped working. Fortunately, I got to fly it one time, and then the second time I tried to take it up, it just never worked again. I had to get it fixed. First time I lost one of my cameras, that ain't never happened. I think it just fell out my hoodie pocket while I was out there. So it just was like literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was just back to back, to where my homie Naguib, shout out to Naguib, he like, bro, you got some bad juju in Kenya, you gotta get out that country. So I was definitely going through it. When I lost the camera, I lost footage from the KICC building the first day. When I went through CBD, I was inside the Matatu showing y'all what that's like. Went to Uhuru Park, Diani Beach. I even had some footage from inside one of the jail cells when we was at the courthouse in Minimani. But all of that was on the camera that I lost. So unfortunately, I had to kind of just make do with what I had left on my phone, and then what me and Miss Pauline was able to shoot my last couple days before I dipped. So again, shout out to her for the help. The last thing I'll say, never in my life have I been called nigga and white man at the same time. That was ridiculous to me in the prison. That was my nickname, basically. It was like Mzungu or nigga. All of the brothers in there either would be excited to see a black American and, oh, nigga, my nigga. Or they'd be like, oh, the Mzungu. Other than that, they would call me Chicago. Or like my friends, the guys I really rock, would call me Raz or Rashid. But if it wasn't Chicago, it was nigga or white man in the prison. And that's so ironic to be called both at the same time. You know what I'm saying? But after all that, I'm still looking forward to my next series, because what I realized after Kenya was this would be the first country that I shot and didn't have any interruptions, no speed bumps, no problems at all. And ironically, it's the first country I'm shooting outside of Africa, unfortunately. I just came from London about a month ago with my buddy Ant Stu, shout out to Ant, and we basically went to like Brixton, Peckham. We tried to find all of the black areas, the black people, any black activity going on out there. And we went to France and Amsterdam for a couple of days and did the same thing out there. So that's gonna be coming ASAP. Might put it out the same day I put out this video. I ain't decided yet, but if it ain't out now, it'll be out next. This is gonna be the first country I shot with. I'm gonna be able to show you the country the way I wanted you to see it. Cause so far it was like the first trip in Egypt, the drones just went crazy and crashed into the hotel. And that was my first time doing this period, so I was still kind of getting my feet wet, learning what I'm doing in the first place. The second trip in Tanzania, first of all, I had bought a new drone to replace the one in Egypt, but I couldn't figure out how to fly it. I couldn't get off the ground. So I ended up going on the trip and couldn't take the drone again. Luckily, I had some footage from the year before when I went. So I used that for Tanzania, but couldn't take no fresh drone footage. And I messed up because I was a little too relaxed. I was having too much fun and wasn't focused on like, let me shoot this, let me get that. I didn't like map it out well enough. That's why if you peep, Tanzania got the least episodes out of all the countries. So Tanzania, you know, could have been better. Went to Ethiopia. Finally, I had everything working, no issues with the drone. But then they took the phone. So all of the footage I shot on the phone was like 2 whole episodes on that. That was gone. The fourth trip was South Africa. That's the one that finally went well. Everything was smooth, didn't have no issues. But right after South Africa, I went to Kenya and then lost the camera. And I still had 3 episodes left in South Africa. It was mostly stuff from Cape Town, luckily, but I wasn't able to finish everything. So technically, South Africa would have been the first one that went well. But because of the issues in Kenya, South Africa got affected too. And then, of course, Kenya, jail and losing the camera. So all 5 had some kind of issue that stopped me doing it how I wanted to do it. London, Amsterdam, France gonna be the first ones where you will see everything. I wish I could say that was happening in Africa first, but it is what it is. That's just the way it worked out. Now what's crazy too, I peep every time I seem to leave a spot, it go crazy in the country or the city. Because when I left Ethiopia, they started fighting in Lalibela. When I left South Africa, they had real heavy rains, which ain't unusual, but it flooded so bad, I heard a lady died, like I swept off a bridge. Then Malema lost the election after that. Then they took the, I think, Miss South Africa award from a black woman, gave it to a white woman, so they just been kind of tripping. Once I left Kenya a couple weeks later, that's when the protests started with Ruto and a finance bill, so they sent the country up. This was a couple years ago, but when I left Hawaii, less than a month later, the volcano erupted in Maui, the island we was on. So it seemed like it's, you know, it might be a coincidence, but even London, where I just came from, the same thing. As soon as I leave, you start seeing attacks on black people and immigrants. I hope that's not a regular thing, but like I say, it seems like almost everywhere I leave that happens. Special shout out to Pops. Super special shout out to Miss Pauline. Again, y'all was the ones that held me down and got me through that whole ordeal, man. The issues in the jail and the prison over there. So can't say enough. Much love and respect to both of y'all, man. I appreciate y'all to death. Whatever you need, I got you. Shout out to Bobby, meeting Kid Greatness out there. Shout out to him.
Thank you.
Everybody I met in Diani, so they go for John, Esther, Peter, Diana, and her friend. Sorry I forgot your name, but I remember Diana and Diani. So shout out to y'all, Kacha and Matano. Shout out to everybody I met, everybody I rock with in jail and in prison, man. So that goes for Laban, Jamal, especially y'all too, out of everybody, man. Y'all my brothers for life. So special big shout out to Laban and Jamal. But much love to Peter. Big shout out to my brother DJ Flex. We still gotta work on something soon. Eric, Justice, David, Anendo, Casper, Muhammad, Robert, Willard. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of y'all, so I'm gonna miss somebody, but much love to all y'all. Definitely, of course, my jail girlfriend and my prison wife. And if you don't understand what I mean, I ain't on no funny, you know, check out the jail video. But shout out to them, Maureen, Stacy, Mercy, and Warimu. The last thing is the rating, man. So to give a rating of my time in Kenya, and keep in mind too, this is the longest time I spent out the country before it ended up being a whole month. So I think I got a decent feel in jail and outside as a free man of the country. And as far as the food, I give y'all food an 8. Strong 8, man. Y'all had a lot of good stuff I really liked, especially the mukimo. Amatoma was good, even though I try to stay away from the meat, but it was fire when I had it. I like the Sakuma Wiki, ironically more in prison than outside, but the Sakuma was good. And then y'all got a decent amount of like veggie options and restaurants and spots where somebody like me can eat comfortably. You don't have to only eat meat. And most of it was pretty good. The weather, I give it an 8. The only thing I take away is like it's a little chilly in Nairobi, especially at night. It reminded me of Ethiopia, like you need a hoodie or a jacket or something. You will get cold when the sun go down. And then in Mombasa, it was a little hot. I like it hot personally, so I ain't complaining, but you know, everybody can't take that. It's humid too, so real sunny, real humid, but it's nice. It's like tropical weather, so I'm not complaining. But I'll say an 8. Now the people, this one was very difficult for me because I didn't want to penalize a lot of the good people that I met out there. So I met some good folks in and out of the prison. Hold on 1 second. All right, like I was saying, so the people is real hard. Come on, man. One more second again. What up? So yeah, the people, that one is hard for me because I met a whole lot of good people. Like I was just shouting out brothers that I met in the industrial area prison and people that I met on the street that I got a lot of love for, man. They was good to me, they was decent, they was cool. But then it was a lot of people that I met there that was pissing me off, that was getting on my nerves, that was aggravating me, particularly the police. Like the police out there ain't shit. Whether we talking about on the street or the guards in the prison, the vast majority. I'm not gonna say all they are, because I did meet a guard or two who was okay, you know what I'm saying? At least my experience with them. But most of them was trash, man. So I don't fuck with their police. Can't trust the lawyers out there. Out of my 3 potential lawyers, at least 2 out of the 3 was on some shiesty, grimy shit. Anybody with a uniform or any authority, again, like if they got any high position, any leverage over you, a lot of the time they take advantage of that leverage, man, and expect some lunch money in return. And my other issue, honestly, with some of the people that I met, it seemed to be a strong gender war going on out there. And again, shout out to Kid Greatness. He warned me of that when I met him in the mall. He was saying like this is one of the countries he experienced that the most in outside of America. For me, First time I peeped that type of vibe was in South Africa a little bit, but I only met one woman that was giving that type of energy. The rest of the women out there was pretty cool people that I met. In Kenya, I met several women who were saying the same thing, of like, oh, I don't date Kenyan men, and I want to marry or be with somebody outside of my country. All of them didn't say that, but the majority of the ones I talked to, that's the type of time they was on. And I couldn't really rock with that because I'm like, I never discount your experience with Kenyans, first of all. But one, you got to understand, when I talk to the men, they telling me the same thing. They like, oh, don't never trust a Kenyan woman. She'll take your money, run away. And they like this, they all like that. They was generalizing y'all the same way. So if you will argue all Kenyan women ain't that way, you got to have the logic, the reason to understand all Kenyan men can't be the same way either. Plus, as much as some of them were saying they would like to date me and prefer dating me than a Kenyan man, I hear the same thing from black women in America that might have had some bad experiences that are valid. Again, I'm not knocking what you went through, but at the same time, you can't generalize. Just because the men that you met or dealt with or choose to be your man, they was bad, don't mean that every single black man in the city or the world is the same as them. Because to be fair, I could do the same thing. I say it all the time. Like, I had a woman stalk me for 2 years. I had a girl have a baby and swear it was mine, knowing it wasn't, and I knew it wasn't, and the DNA proved it wasn't. I done had some women do some trifling shit, like put a knife on me just for taking her home. So it's plenty of stories I could tell you where I could be like, women ain't shit, black women this and that, but they don't represent all black women. Those are the women that I was dealing with in that experience, in that situation. Likewise, don't knock every black man because of the ones you may have encountered, man. Can't speak for all of us. So that's an issue for me. I just don't like the division that I was seeing, where it's starting to divide the men and the women. They're like, how you gonna come together and build if you both steady criticizing each other or stereotyping each other? I mean, at the end of the day, neither one of y'all are perfect. Like, all the men in Kenya ain't great, all the women ain't either, but they ain't all bad either. And it's the same for black people here in America and everywhere in the world. All of one group is never one way. They might have a lot of similarities and some things that are very common in a lot of them, but you can't say all. So with that being said, I have to give the people a 7. Like, I did meet a whole lot of nice, generous, beautiful people out there. But as far as the grimy people, the scam artist lawyers, the shiesty police, like everybody asking for bribes and all of that, 7 is the best I could do. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to the good people I did meet out there. The price, I'm going to give it a 9. That's probably going to be the highest score out of everything in Kenya, because technically this was supposed to be my cheapest trip to Africa, or at least one of them, because first of all, I wasn't doing a whole lot of extracurricular activities, and I'm going to get to that on the next one. The most expensive thing, as usual, was a flight, and then I think me going to the Giraffe Center, that was like $10. Other than that, everything was like less than that, unless I want to buy some souvenirs or whatever. Transportation wasn't crazy expensive. Food, activities, everything was pretty reasonable, unless you're gonna eat at like a touristy spot or a fancy spot. Everything else, the prices was decent coming from America, so I get at a 9. Activities, I gotta get at a 6. That's the lowest score I'm gonna get y'all. Now again, I'm not knocking, it's things to do in Kenya. If you into clubs, they got a bunch of different clubs and nightlife, and I'm not a club type of person. So I went, again, shout out to Kid Greatness, because he suggested it. But if I hadn't met him in the Yaya Center and he ain't talk about it, I might not have went. Like, I usually go to the club when somebody else want to go, and then all right, we can pop out for a minute, but I never want to go on my own. That ain't my thing. And outside of the club, the only thing, or the main thing that they talk about in Kenya to do is like animal activity. Everything I saw when I was looking up what to do there was like, go to the safari. I'm like, okay, I ain't doing the safari. Well, we got the animal conservatory. Go see the elephants. You can go to the Giraffe Center. It was just a lot of that. So outside of the club, the malls was pretty decent. And then like going to see some animals, it wasn't a whole lot that I saw that it was to do. So gotta give it a 6, man. How you doing? Especially because if you know me, you've been watching me, you know I'm not really rocking with the safari like that. I might go one day, but so far I got 2 offers to go for free. I ain't even have to pay, and I've been turning them down. Once in Tanzania and now in Kenya, so that ain't really my thing. if that's what you're into, Kenya is a great spot for you. And if you're a Black American, you want to go somewhere where it's a lot of English spoken, the infrastructure pretty good, it's a good spot for you. But outside of the infrastructure and the ease of English, even though I learned some Swahili, I can't really recommend it. Now the last thing is the infrastructure. I'm going to give that a 7. Infrastructure is pretty decent, actually. I almost would have rated it closer to America, which I would give American and London and England, I get like a 9. I only had to knock points off because the main two things was its restrictions on the boat drivers. Just like I saw in South Africa, the boat drivers wouldn't be able to take you everywhere because certain areas would be like, oh, this is for the taxis. So, you know, they'll fight us or we'll get a fine. We have to pay a bunch of money if they catch us over there. So they either would be on some like, look, I'm gonna slow down and, you know, damn near you hop off while I'm driving type of energy. Or like, you know, as soon as I stop, you gotta go. Like, pay me as we ride, and so that as soon as I stop, you can get off and I can keep going. Or they just wouldn't go at all. They just tell you like, oh, I don't go to that area. And I was late once I missed the bank. I only missed it because the drivers kept canceling one after the other because they're like, oh, you going to the CBD? I can't go there. I can't go there. I get in trouble. So that's real inconvenient. That makes things difficult. And this job is all about transportation. And as a taxi driver, you gotta have the ability to go everywhere because you never know where your customer's going. So that they need to work on that system and fix that. And the main other thing, and there's only 2 things I'm gonna complain about the infrastructure, but these are big things, is the system of bribery, man. That makes things that should be, I ain't even gonna say easy, but should be relatively simple, it makes them difficult. It makes just buying a piece of property as an honest Kenyan difficult when it shouldn't be that hard. It makes just walking down the street as an innocent visitor difficult, you know what I'm saying? When it's like you're not even doing anything wrong. So just the whole system of so many people of authority expecting money in return for either a favor, preferential treatment, or just your freedom, like just to be left alone, that's unacceptable, that's trash. So I give it a 7. The roads was pretty good. They accessed the internet, Wi-Fi, and Pesa, everybody being able to access and use mobile money, even though there's some drawbacks to that in my opinion, but just the access to it is good. And then even like the ferry and Diani, like a lot of their infrastructure was pretty decent. I wanted to give it a higher grade, but as far as the issues with the drivers and the bribes, I can't go any higher than a 7. So the total for Kenya, when you average it all up, I give Kenya a 7.5, man. I think that's pretty fair. When I was in school, that'd be like a C. You feel me? It's pretty average because it's like it's gonna be some things you like about Kenya. It might be some things that you really don't like. But me personally, it's like I would go back to visit. Don't see myself living there, man. Especially, mainly after my experience, honestly. The whole issue with the police and the court and the jail and all that, it never should have happened. So I could never live there because of that. And then, like I say, it ain't just me and my experience, because look how many of the people are protesting, setting the parliament on fire, you know what I'm saying, getting locked up and even killed sometimes, just trying to change the government and the bullshit that they don't like in their country. So I'll go back again, especially to kick it with the people I met and to kick it with the people I didn't get a chance to see that I wanted to link with, and even some of the brothers that, you know, now that we can kick it, now that we got our freedom, that would be dope. But I don't think I could ever live there for good, especially because even again, one of my buddies buying property out there was like, she don't think she want to live in Nairobi no more. She don't want to leave Kenya necessarily, but she like, I'd rather live in the village where it's peaceful, ain't no protests going on, and it ain't all the issues of the city life. And Nairobi is a big city, man. It sometimes it be kind of wild. In general, man, I got a lot of love for Kenya, again, especially the people. But to keep it a buck, I cannot recommend it as one of the places I would say go. If you're into safari and all that, you could go. You probably will have a peaceful time. You probably have fun. But if you like me and you want to walk on the streets amongst the people, learn the language, and kind of mingle with them, you might get treated like one of them, which is what happened to me. A lot of people was like, maybe they went hard on you because you was American and they was, you know, the judge, or they didn't like you because you was from America. It's like, that's a possibility, but as much as I saw them with the same harsh treatment towards fellow Kenyans, towards people from their own country that speak their own language that look like them, it wasn't just because I was American. Like, this is just how they are in this country, man. So just for me to be stereotyped and treated the way I was out there, the way that government has been kidnapping and murking innocent protesters, disappearing them since all the protests started happening with the finance bill, and how crooked and corrupt the government and the police and all of that is. Like, I could stay in America for that at the end of the day. I'm not finna leave terrible trash police in America to move to a country where I gotta deal with more trash police. That don't make sense. I'm not gonna deal with a country that's incarcerating me and people that look like me at a much higher rate for no reason. Why would I leave a country like that to go to a country that's incarcerating its own citizens? Damn near, it seems like at the same rate to me. And it make it worse because it's your own people again. I ain't never been in a situation where it's all black cops arresting me, hitting me, mistreating me, you know what I'm saying? So I can't really rock with that, man. Like, I love the people, the food, the weather, the country in general is dope, but the system that's set up, it gotta be changed. So on that note, again, much love and shout out and respect to the Mau Mau warriors and the protesters out there sacrificing now, basically keeping the spirit of the Mau Mau alive, man. Much love to y'all. It's very necessary. All that being said, that's it. I'm out of here, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next country, man. Next time you see me, I'll be telling y'all about merry old London. We'll be out there with the black folks we found. I'm out there with hella white people, but we went to the blackest areas we heard about out there. So shout out to everybody I met in Kenya that showed me love. And until next time, man, I'll see y'all in a minute. Peace. Flooded the streets got last night, man. It rained for like 4 or 5 hours.
Video.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Sawa. So these are some Maasai brothers out here selling koba na unasemaje belt kwa Kiswahili? Bishipi? Ah, sawa. So wanauza nje the banki. Mimi ni hapa kwa Milimani. I have court today, so I gotta go take care of that bullshit from the police, but I ran into some brothers out here making money. I bought a belt from him. He cut the hole for me, so asante sana kaka. Jina lako ni nani?
Nalango, Olongwani.
Nalango?
Olongwani.
I don't know if I can say it.
Naitwa Olongwani.
Nalongani.
This is Olongwani. This is my Olongwani.
Mayalomani.
Olongwani. Pero.
Siwezi sema.
Olongwani.
Olongwani. Ah, okay. Asante. Na wewe kaka?
Mimi naitwa Lugwasa.
Lugwesa? Ah, okay. Nina furaha kukutana na wewe.
My name is Olongwani.
Olongwani.
Yeah,
okay. That's hard for my tongue to say. I like it though.
This
Jina lango ni Raz.
Raha.
Ninatoka Chicago.
Natoka Sudan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ndio.
Okay.
Asante sana kaka. Baadaye. Right, 254. America is +1. Moja 2, yeah, you gotta Google it, man. See who calling you.
Change your 100, let's talk about
Alright. Unasema shukran. Wewe ni Muslim? Or you speak unaongea Arabic?
I'm not Somali.
Ah.
They're Somali and Kikuyu.
Ah, okay.
I'm
So,
Kenyan, but they're Somali.
yeah.
But I'm a Christian.
I went to jail with some Somalis here, man. Say, I went to jail here with some Somalis, man. The Central Police Station. Man, I was my second day in Kenya. I was just walking home.
And they arrested you.
They arrested me.
They thought you were Nigerian.
That's what I heard a lot. So you look suspicious. This area need Hatari. I was in Ngara.
Gara police station.
Nah, the area, that's where my hotel was in Ngara. And that's where they arrested me, man.
They arrested you where? In
Ngara.
In Gara.
Yeah. So
Kenya, they love man. Kenyans love man.
Najua sasa